If Disney announced they were removing Fort Wilderness from Tom Sawyer Island, Disney fans would lose their minds. But what if I told you they already did? Most fans walk past this fort thinking that it's the original fort that Walt Disney put in the park in 1956. But what you're looking at today, this is not the original.
And what makes this so strange is that Disney never told you that. There was no announcement, no grand reopening, no moment where fans had a chance to say goodbye. Because instead of removing Fort Wilderness, they replaced it with something that looks almost exactly the same.
You see, they didn't remove the fort, they changed what it means.
And this is where it gets weird, because what you're looking at right now feels like it's always been here. After all, it is the same spot, nearly the same shape, almost the same everything. But here's the truth, it's not.
Walt Disney didn't design this to be something that you look at. He designed this to be something that you could explore.
This was never meant to be a backdrop. It was a place where you could run, climb, get lost in your own adventure. And somehow, that version of this place slowly disappeared. And the amazing part, without most people ever realizing.
So before we talk about it, you need to understand what it was supposed to be.
Because Fort Wilderness wasn't just another attraction, it was something much more personal.
Walt Disney didn't design this to be a prop that you would look at. He designed this to be a live action set that you could explore.
And from the very beginning, this was part of Walt's plan. When Disneyland opened in 1955, that island was already there, but guests could not go on it. It wasn't until a year later in 1956 that Disneyland opened Tom Sawyer's Island, making it one of the first expansions in Disneyland's rich history. Disney spent over $250,000 building it to create what they called a playground of a youngster's dream. Walt once described the island as, "I put in all the things I wanted to do as a kid and couldn't." And that is exactly what the island was. And Fort Wilderness was a part of that adventure because you didn't just walk to it, you had to earn it. You took a raft across the river, left the rest of Disneyland temporarily behind, and stepped into a completely different world. Inside the fort, there were lookout towers, a trading post, and even rifles that let kids defend the fort from above, where kids of the Davy Crockett craze could live out their own frontier adventure. This was never meant to be a ride, it was a place where the story only worked if you participated in it. But that version of Disneyland was built for a very different time. A time when the line between history and storytelling wasn't drawn very differently, and a place like this could exist exactly as it was originally imagined by the creator. And for decades, it did.
This section of Disneyland belonged to the imagination of every child who explored it and lived their own adventure.
Which makes what happened here so much harder to see for the Disneyland purist. But here is where that story starts to change, because Fort Wilderness didn't just quietly fade away, it was left behind. By the early 2000s, this structure was already in serious trouble. The original fort had been built using real logs, authentic to the time. But over decades, those same materials became its biggest weakness. Termites, weather, and years of wear that simply weren't being addressed. By the early 2000s, this wasn't something Disney was trying to fix. It was something they were simply trying to hold on to for as long as they could. And if this story is starting to feel familiar, it's because this all happened during one of the most controversial eras in Disneyland history. Under the leadership of Paul Pressler, a time when maintenance across the park was being scaled back. Ironically, right when many of its original structures needed it the most. It's the same era that saw other parts of Disneyland quietly disappear, sometimes without guests even realizing what had been lost. So in 2007, Fort Wilderness was demolished, but what replaced it wasn't what you would expect.
And Disney could have built a simple backstage building, but instead they rebuilt a different version of the fort.
The new structure sits in the exact same location with almost the exact same footprint, about 3,000 square feet, roughly the size of Town Square. From a distance, it reads as the same fort, but functionally, it's something completely different. Today, this space is used backstage, as a break area, as a costuming facility for the performers of Fantasmic. Every night, dozens of performers cycle through this space, changing into dozens of costumes for the show, a hidden operation inside something that guests still believe is a part of the original Disneyland story, which makes this space one of the most unique spaces and something that almost never happens at Disneyland, a space that was once fully on stage that has quietly become completely backstage. And to Disney's credit, they didn't just drop a warehouse here. They rebuilt the fort. They honored the look, the silhouette, the memory of what once stood here. But at the same time, they removed the experience completely.
So the question really becomes, is this honoring the past or is it replacing it?
And the uniqueness of this structure is they didn't take this away. They just changed it enough that most people never notice and largely got away with it, fooling most guests. And the deeper you look into Fort Wilderness, the more you start to understand why something like this couldn't stay the way that it was forever. Part of that reason comes down to how it was built. Fort Wilderness wasn't a facade, it was built like a real frontier fort, using full-size logs brought in from nearby Lake Arrowhead. Those logs weren't just delivered to the park, they were floated across the river to the island, the same way lumber would have been transported in the 1800s. The entire structure was first built backstage, then disassembled, each piece labeled, trucked into Frontierland, and floated across the water log by log, then rebuilt on the island. Even before that, Disney mocked up a full-scale version of the fort on site, just to study how it would look, what sight lines it would affect, and whether it would feel believable inside the land. Inside, you had a working trading post, snacks and supplies for guests on the island, lookout towers you could climb, and even a hidden escape tunnel behind the stockade, in case the fort was attacked. They even reused full-size figures from the Davy Crockett exhibit, moving them into the fort to bring the story to life. Everything about this place was designed to feel authentic, not just something you looked at, but something you could move through and play inside of. But that level of realism came with a trade-off, because the same details that made this place feel real also meant it was built around a version of history that doesn't quite land the same way today. And then there were the guns. Mounted along the towers of Fort Wilderness were realistic rifles, not props behind glass, something you could pick up, aim, and fire. As kids climbed the towers, they were rewarded with a lookout across the river, where they could take aim at what the fort was built to defend against. Because this wasn't just a playground, it was presented as an outpost on the edge of, quote, hostile Indian territory. Signs around the fort warned, in case of Indian attack, these gates will be closed. There was even a bell to signal when the fort was under threat. At times, that threat wasn't just implied. Actors would approach the island by canoe, raiding the fort, while guests and kids defended it from above. From the towers, you'd hear the crack of rifles as children fired down toward the river, celebrating as the fort held its ground. At the time, this was part of the experience, a frontier story told through participation. But like a lot of things from this era, the way it was presented lands very differently today. What once felt like an adventure now raises different questions about how history is portrayed, who's represented, and what belongs inside a place like Disneyland. And this is one of those things that only you know the answer to. Was this part of Fort Wilderness either a reflection of its time or something that should never have existed at all?
And friends, this is where things would start to change.
What happened next is a lot harder to debate, because eventually this would lead to a tragedy. In 2001, a 6-year-old girl playing inside Fort Wilderness slipped while handling one of the rifles, and her finger became caught in the trigger. The injury was severe. Doctors weren't able to reattach it, and almost immediately, everything changed. The fort was closed, investigations followed, not just from Disneyland, but from federal agencies trying to understand what exactly had gone wrong. And within days, 9 to be exact, the rifles were gone. After decades of being part of the experience, that part of Fort Wilderness simply disappeared. And moments like that have a way of ending the debate.
Right now, this looks like part of Disneyland's past, but guests can no longer experience it the way that they once could.
Because up until that point, you can argue about history, about storytelling, and about what belongs and what doesn't. But this wasn't theoretical anymore, this was real. But what's interesting about Fort Wilderness is that even beyond that moment, it had already become something more than just a place to play. It had become a symbol. In 1970, a group of protesters known as the Yippies made their way through Disneyland and onto Tom Sawyer Island and took over the fort. They raised the Viet Cong flag above it, shutting down access to the island entirely. For a brief moment, Fort Wilderness wasn't part of Disneyland's story anymore. It became the center of someone else's. And years later, there was even a planned attempt by a white supremacist group to stage a rally for White Workers' Day at Disneyland, with the goal of raising a swastika flag over the fort. Security was increased. It never happened. The plan was stopped before it could even begin. But the fact that both of those things centered around this one location says something important. Because if you wanted to make a statement inside of Disneyland, this is where you went. Not the castle, not Main Street, but the fort. A place that felt real enough that people treated it like it mattered. Like taking it over meant taking over something bigger. And that might be the most fascinating part about all of this. Fort Wilderness started as a playground, but through design, through storytelling, through how believable it felt, it became something people projected meaning onto. And when something reaches that point, it's no longer just an attraction. It becomes something that reflects whatever people bring to it. Which is exactly what makes what happens next so complicated. At multiple points in Disneyland's history, this entire island was almost something completely different. After the success of the Pirates of the Caribbean, Imagineers seriously considered transforming Tom Sawyer Island into something far more ambitious. Not just a retheme, but a complete reimagining. One idea would have connected New Orleans Square directly to the island through a hidden underground passage. Guests would discover a crypt near the Haunted Mansion, broken open in search of pirate treasure, leading them from beneath the rivers of America and into a network of caves, buried ships, and secret hideouts. The island wouldn't have been a frontier playground anymore, it would have been a pirate stronghold. And in that version, Fort Wilderness would have been removed entirely, replaced with larger cave systems, expanded play areas, and a completely different kind of experience. And that wasn't the only idea. Imagineers explored turning the island into something even more interactive, with cannons that guests could fire from the island, but with effects that reached across the river in New Orleans Square. A much more modern, high-energy play environment. Something closer to what you would see at Tokyo Disney Sea today. In other words, the version of the island that exists right now is just one of many directions Disney could have taken, and eventually, they did move forward with part of that idea. In 2006, the island was reworked into Pirate's Lair, with new interactive elements, updated rockwork, and a softer, more controlled version of the experience. But even then, Fort Wilderness never came back. And that's where our story takes another turn. Because while Disneyland chose to preserve the fort, at Walt Disney World, they didn't. The fort there is gone, removed entirely last summer, as part of a larger transformation of the park, where Magic Kingdom finally started to tell its own story instead of its version of the Disneyland story. And depending on how you look at it, that's either progress or a loss. Because this is the trade-off Disney constantly makes. You can hold on to the past and reshape it quietly, the way that Disneyland did. Or you can clear the space completely and build something new, the way that Magic Kingdom just did. And the truth is, you don't really know which one you prefer until it happens.
So now we have this weird middle where the past is visible, but no longer an actual experience.
And that's the position Disneyland is in right now, because the fort technically is still here, but you can't actually live in it the way that it was intended. And when you step back and look at everything, what was built, what was removed, and what almost changed, but what still remains, it raises a much bigger question. Did Disneyland preserve something important, or did it quietly take something away and replace it with a design that feels authentic enough to fool most guests so they never question the actual change?
And behind me is one of Disneyland's most amazing optical illusions.
And maybe this is exactly what Walt meant, because Disneyland was never supposed to be a museum, it was meant to change. And sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. But at least here, some version of the fort is still standing, because in another Disney park, they didn't rebuild it, they just removed it. So if you're in the camp of people that thinks losing something like this would be a mistake, you might want to see what happens when Disney doesn't even try to hide it. Because there was a time when they didn't replace the past, they just traded a mountain for a pile of dirt.